On this week's program, a relic of stupidity past resurfaces. Litch posts the same rage bait for the millionth time. Shockingly, a wiki is both right and wrong at the same time. And we learn that the true secret of Blackmoor is the art of making not the greatest game, but the greatest mistakes. It's Monday, and that means an examination of the biggest feat in the biggest mouths of the TTRPG internet that we call intelligence as a dump stat. Before we hit the ground running with this week's Idiocy, it is shameless plug and update time. The Dodge, paperwork, and more paperwork as we deal with the nuances of the state trying to figure out how to get the most money out of a citizen's generosity. But progress is being made on getting it to Alabama. Hit the like, share, subscribe, and bell icons to get up to the minute notice on new content here on the channel. And if you feel so inclined, become a paid Patreon member to get input on what we cover here and on what we do to the Darks 318B8 once it gets here. Sign up as a free patron just to show your support and to tell me that you want the Dodge when I'm done with it. This week, I will be starting to go back over alignment in TTRPGs, as well as using history in your games, and the first of a new video series about how to best use the books, novels, short stories, and epic series you most enjoy as idea mines for your table, both as a player and a GM, will land in your YouTube notifications. Now on to the brain damage. This week is kind of special since we mimic 90% of the X arguments in the OSR. We start and end with the Bro SR. They get the stick first, and spoiler alert, they get the carrot in the end. The king of the Bro SR delusion himself, B-Dubs, kicks it off with a resurrection of one of Jeffro Johnson's lowest intelligence takes on gaming. Quote, RPG campaign setting products are you paying time and money to have someone else pretend to have played the game for you, unquote. This gem of infinite idiocy is all based in the Bro SR fallacy that the only way to play TTRPGs right is to have no plan at all and to have the players discover the world through a bunch of random tables and decisions of the players. It is funny because they love to talk about how the game is about the world and not the players, but then they create the world based on random decisions by the players. They also talk about zero prep, and as stated above, how buying anything pre-made for the game world is somebody else playing for you while doing it yourself is essentially story time railroading. It is almost like they lack a high enough intelligence to recognize that all those random tables they use is just someone else's prep they paid for. Or, if they made their own tables, it's prep. The biggest failing of the Bros is and always has been their one true wayism, and it leads to stupidity like this. They assume that everyone has the knowledge base needed to develop engaging and realistic worlds on the fly with a few tables, or worse, they assume that everyone gets their enjoyment from meaningless meandering through a world of randomness. It's like George R.R. Martin versus J.R.R. Tolkien. One is a hodgepodge of ripped-off history and random shock tactics designed to get cheap responses in a poorly developed, never-ending story, while the other is a masterpiece of storytelling that will stand the test of time for centuries to come. One was a decent show on cable TV that petered out in unsatisfying ways after a few seasons, and one became a cinematic masterpiece on the short list for greatest work ever put to the medium. So yeah, Jeffro is like Martin. Everything meaningful was ripped off from the giants whose shoulders he hasn't even reached yet, and the rest is a litany of trash takes that gets more cringy with each repeat. Litch, an X-count that is equal parts meme reposter and troll, did one of his famous repeat performances. He posted, probably for the 5,000th time, the image of the wheelchair adventurer with the caption, quote, accepting the existence of magic in a fantasy setting should not be easier than accepting the existence of disabled people in the fantasy setting, unquote. The funny part is that he is clearly just rage baiting, because he goes on to mock this statement in the replies. Replies filled with delicious engagement in the form of people complaining in the replies about how many times he has reposted this exact image and comment. So this isn't about Meme Litch. He is clearly an 18 intelligence genius who is building an income from X from simply waking up and hitting Control plus V every few days. The Nimrods are all of us who fall for it and jump in the replies to either complain about his engagement farming or who can't resist the urge to point out how the caption misses the entire point of why combat wheelchair adventurers are peak retarded victimhood pandering. We have all said it at least as many times as Mean Litch has posted this. Magic would either eliminate the disabilities, or the disabilities would disqualify the adventurers in the first place. There is no realistic situation where the other party members would include the level 1 wheelchair warrior in their party, because none of them want to die. Old Wheels would never make it to level 2 on his own either. It is just idiotic D&D as a slice-of-life coffee shop simulator nonsense. Speaking of the moronic slice-of-life simulator idea put forth by woke-tards of the coast, Forgotten Realms Wiki entered the chat this week over the weird Fantasy Town picture controversy. He should probably change his handle to Forgotten Brain Wiki, though. Setting the stage, there is an image that shows the multiracial children's book scene from New D&D side by side with a dark street scene of crime and vice at the Ruptured Spleen Tavern replete with violence and drugged out wretches that says New D&D versus AD&D in a nutshell. I'll put it up here for you. Dumpstat Wiki's response, quote, fact check, the image on the right is not from AD&D. It is from an unreleased 3.5 campaign setting connected to the Book of Vile Darkness. Opinion, D&D can be whimsical or dark and brutal. D&D should be flexible. Your DM should be too. Unquote. Oh, lordy lord, does Watsy Shill miss the point here. I'm going to give him the point about the origin of the picture. I could look it up, but that's not really relevant here. It's about mentality, and it's about a logical game world. Yeah, Game Master should be flexible, and you can have any kind of game you want to play, but D&D, up until a few years ago when the professional activist crowd took hold, had an identity. That identity was a fantasy adventure game. Dungeons and Dragons, it was dungeons to explore and dragons to fight. Even the story gamer crowd that many would count me among with my Hickman Revolution narrative gaming style understood this. If you wanted to preach your LGBTQIA $ampersand poo emoji message in your game, you did it by fighting a battle against a powerful wizard forcing the world to acknowledge an ancient biology textbook from the long-forgotten 8th grade empire. Because playing make-believe Pride Parade is worse than stupid. It is inane and boring. It is time to recognize the vision that Professor DM put forth for the reality that it is. WotC has killed D&D as a TTRPG and wants to use it as a brand for casual clicks on your phone. Forgotten Realms is slowly being set up for Forgotten Farmville, coming in early 2026 to your phone in 2027. Pick your species with whatever stats you like, because it doesn't matter. You're just going to sit on the toilet and harvest your magic herb garden to create more potions to sell in town for gold to spend on more magic herb harvesting equipment. It's peak Bro SR from WotC, a never-ending game with no point. We finished this week with revealing the secret of Blackmoor. That's right, we all wondered about this secret. We've all wanted to know what the secret is. The secret is how to effectively point your gun directly at your foot and blow it into the largest number of the smallest pieces possible. Last week, I touched on how these idiots chose to make asses of themselves in-game with Harmony Ginger. Now let's look at the final nail in their idiotic coffin. Harmony was on Dunder Moose's stream and went into detail about her experiences at DaveCom with Griff Moron and Dumbass Wesley. She went to see how real Bronstein is played. since they were adamant that the Bro SR did it wrong, and to mend fences and come to clarity in the aftermath of their imbecilic IP lawsuit threats. A chance to turn a respected voice and a ready-made player base into a launching point for their upcoming Braunstein product. In addition to having the only TTRPG launch schedule more delayed than D&D 2024, 5, maybe 26, they seem to have also looked at Wizards' marketing strategies and said, hold my beer. At least I hope that's all they asked anyone to hold, given the kind of things they asked Harmony to endure in the game itself. But yes, Harmony sits down with David Wesley to talk about Braunstein and is told no, she can't record anything without Griff Morgan both present and in control of everything, and then later, no, we're just not going to do that. She's also told all about how they plan to aggressively defend the legally unprotectable concept of Braunstein and how they were very open to her paying them royalties per session for every Braunstein-style session she ran. I'll bet you are, you uninspired, insipid hacks. It would likely be the first dime the Braunstein games ever brought you in the past 60 years. To make it even worse, they then proved beyond any doubt that yes, the Bro SR is absolutely 100% right and playing Braunstein the same way Wesley does, only more efficiently and without the need for being in person. The end result was Harmony saying that she will retire the Braunstein term, thus all but killing the only positive marketing for the concept. I'd be willing to bet good money that the number of people who know the term Braunstein because of Harmony Ginger over the past 2 years is orders of magnitude greater than the number of people who know because of the Fellowship of the Thing members since 1970. To make matters worse, the Bro SR has largely said that they will intentionally use Braunstein just to piss in Morgan and Wesley's faces. There you go, guys. Your new product will be known only as a troll by one of the least admired groups in the TTRPG space. How to Ensure Failure 101, the next documentary by Griff Morgan. That's all I got this week, folks. I suggest listening to Mozart or watching Frasier reruns or maybe reading some Enlightenment philosophy because there's no telling how much damage hearing this stupidity did to your IQ. I'll see you guys later this week.